"Hale, can you room the next patient?" I asked without looking up from the notes on my laptop. "Sure, she'll be in room 5, replied Anna, our new tech, already heading down the hallway with clipboard in hand. The schedule was packed that day, and I hadn't had a moment to breathe, let alone eat. I glanced at the patient file she'd prepped, a young woman, early 30s, with reports of hazy vision and occasional stabbing pain in her left eye that started a few days ago. Nothing strange on the surface, floaters, maybe dry eye. Worst case scenario, early retinal inflammation. I'd already begun forming a mental diagnosis before I even stood up, but something about the note made me pause. The phrase "light sensitivity worsening over the last 24 hours" was circled. Anna never circled anything. I set the file down, took a swig of cold coffee and headed toward room 5. She was already seated when I entered, slouched slightly as if trying to hide from the fluorescent lighting overhead. A thick pair of sunglasses covered most of her face. Her hands were clenched around a handbag like it was a life preserver. "Good afternoon, Miss..." I glanced at the chart. "Eleanor Drake?" She nodded but didn't smile. "I'm Dr. Ronald Hale. Nice to meet you." Her voice was soft, almost hoarse. "Likewise. Sorry for the sunglasses. I know it's silly indoors, but since yesterday, even this much light feels like needles." That was more than the chart had mentioned. I pulled up a stool beside her. "No need to apologize. Just tell me more about what you've been experiencing." She hesitated, then spoke quickly, like she was afraid she'd lose her nerve. "It's only the left eye. It started last Saturday. Just this blur, like a fog moving in and out. I thought maybe it was just allergies or stress, but now I get these sudden sharp jolts, like someone stabbing a pin behind the eye, and it's gotten worse. Brighter lights feel like they're pressing into my skull." I was already thinking optic neuritis, inflammation, maybe viral, nothing exotic. Still, the fog and the stabbing pain combo wasn't common. She continued. "Also, I had lunch with a friend last week who had some eye trouble too. Weird coincidence maybe, but she hasn't answered my text since Monday." Something in her voice cracked a little when she said that. I filed it away and forced a reassuring tone. "Let's have a look. Mind removing your glasses?" She hesitated, and when she finally pulled them off, my stomach sank a little. Her right eye looked normal, slightly strained, but the left, it was bloodshot, swollen, with the sclera slightly tinged grey, almost like bruising behind the surface. I gently brought the slit lamp forward. As I adjusted the focus, she flinched, not from the light, but like something inside her had twitched. "Hold still," I said gently, "just a few seconds." The front of the eye wasn't remarkable. No ulcers, no lesions, but something was off with the way the light bounced back, too muted, like it was being absorbed. I reached for the fundus lens, preparing to examine the retina and optic nerve. She tensed again. "This might feel weird," I warned her. "Don't move." She didn't reply. I leaned in, and in that moment, the instant I caught sight of the back of her eye, everything changed. What I saw defied medicine, defied reality. Where there should have been a healthy optic disc, a pale, round shape branching out with blood vessels, there was only blackness, not shadow, not darkness, black. A complete void. It was perfectly circular, occupying the centre of her optic nerve like a miniature eclipse. It didn't reflect light, it devoured it. The surrounding tissue seemed to bend toward it, like the gravity of that darkness pulled at the world itself. My breath caught in my throat, and before I could react, she screamed. It wasn't a cry of pain, it was a guttural, primal shriek, like something ancient had torn its way through her mind. She swatted at the equipment, knocking the lens from my hand. It clattered to the floor and rolled beneath the counter. I barely noticed. I was frozen, still picturing that perfect black circle, that impossible void at the end of her optic nerve. She fell out of the chair with a loud thud, curling into herself, both hands clamped over her eye as she sobbed. The door burst open. Anna stood there, her face pale. "What happened?" "Call an ambulance," I said, my voice flat, almost robotic. "Now!" Anna rushed to her side, and I followed a second later, my heart pounding. Eleanor's body shook with violent tremors, her voice rising into a panicked wail. Oh God, it's moving again! It's moving again!" And then she screamed louder than before. One hand ripped away from her eye, and blood sprayed out in a fine mist across the tiles. Her fingers trembled, and beneath them, something was pressing outward, stretching her eyelid grotesquely, not swelling, Movement. Something was moving inside her. Anna screamed. I didn't blame her. I wanted to scream too, but something inside me locked up, like my brain was refusing to process what it was seeing. Eleanor writhed on the floor, clutching at her face, blood seeping between her fingers. Then her body went stiff, frozen in place like something had seized control. The muscles in her neck strained, her jaw clenched so tight I thought her teeth might snap. I stepped forward instinctively, though I had no idea what I intended to do. "Eleanor, Sachars!" I started, but I was cut off by a gurgling noise from her throat. Her back arched violently and she let out one last choked scream before her arms went limp and dropped to the floor. Her hands fell away from her face, and what lay beneath was impossible. Her left eye was gone. In its place was a ragged black socket, dripping blood and something else, something darker, more viscous. From within that void, something stirred. A thin, glistening appendage slid out of the eye socket with an obscene, wet sound. It was slick, black as coal, and moved like a spider's leg. It tapped the linoleum floor lightly, as if testing it. Then another emerged, and another. By the time the third one curled out, Anna had bolted from the room. I heard her shoes squeaking on the tile as she vanished down the hallway, screaming for help. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I was mesmerized, frozen with terror. The fourth appendage was longer, jointed in two places, and ended in a sharp claw-like point. Each leg shimmered with a wet, oily sheen as if freshly birthed. They weren't mechanical, but they didn't seem organic either. They twitched and flexed with purpose, gripping the floor and pulling the rest of the thing out of her. Eleanor's body convulsed once, twice, and then the thing crawled free. It dragged itself out of her skull like it had been hiding in her orbital cavity, coiled tight, waiting. Her head cracked against the floor with a dull thud as it detached from her, the thing leaving a trail of blood behind as it skittered forward. It was the size of a small animal, somewhere between a cat and a raccoon, but that's where the comparison ended. Its entire body was jet black, but not matte or glossy. It was wrong, like it absorbed the light around it, the way her optic nerve had. No eyes, no mouth, just endless limbs that never stopped moving. It circled her body once, then jerked its head, or what I assumed was its head, toward me. That finally broke the paralysis. I turned and ran. I didn't even look back. I just sprinted out the door, down the hall, past the nurse's station. I could hear Anna on the phone with someone, her voice cracking as she tried to explain what she'd seen. I didn't stop to add to it. I threw open the stairwell door and slammed it shut behind me, gasping for breath. My heart felt like it was going to explode. I stayed there for minutes, or maybe hours, trying to get myself to believe any of this was real. Eventually I heard sirens outside. Through the narrow window of the stairwell I saw flashing lights. First an ambulance, then two cop cars, then something else. A black SUV, and then another, and another. Men in dark suits stepped out, moving quickly, calmly, like they'd rehearsed this 1,000 times. I crept back into the hallway as two of them passed by, whispering into earpieces. One of them glanced at me and said nothing. No shock, no questions, just a nod, like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Within minutes, the entire clinic was locked down. No one in, no one out. Patients were ushered outside exits. Staff were separated. Anna and I were each placed in different rooms, white-walled and windowless. We were questioned, not by police, but by those men. Their voices were calm, emotionless. Their questions were precise. What did you see? How did it behave? Did it respond to sound? Did you smell anything? They asked if we had any residual symptoms. When I asked what that meant, they just repeated the question. After what felt like hours, they handed me a thick document, an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. The kind with dense legal language and warnings of permanent federal consequences. I signed it. I didn't argue. Neither did Anna. We were both released just before dawn. Now I'm home, trying to convince myself that none of it happened. But the headache in my temple says otherwise. It's back again. Worse than before, like a drill behind my left eye. And when I close that eye, for just a second, I swear I see something moving in the dark. I haven't left the house since that day. I haven't answered phone calls. I haven't checked my email. I don't know if Anna's okay. I don't even know if she's alive. Part of me is afraid to find out. I spend my time sitting in silence with the curtains drawn. Every noise outside makes me flinch. Every knock on the door feels like it could be them, the men in black coming to make sure I stay quiet. But they wouldn't need to. Not really. I haven't told anyone. Not a soul. Not until now, because I can't stay silent anymore. I'm not okay, and I don't think I'm alone. The headaches come in waves now, blinding flashes of pain behind my left eye. Sometimes I hear a high-pitched hum just before they start, like a tuning fork pressed inside my skull. And sometimes, in the darkest hours of night, I see movement in the corners of my vision. It's always just a blur, a flicker of something skittering along the walls or ceiling, always gone when I look directly at it. I used to think it was trauma or stress or some kind of lingering neurological effect, but I know better now. It's not a symptom, it's a warning. 2 nights ago I found blood on my pillow, a small stain just beside where my head had been. I stared at it for what felt like hours. I didn't want to touch it, didn't want to confirm it was real. I went to the mirror, peeled open my left eyelid, and found the tiniest fracture in the white of my eye, like a hairline crack in porcelain. Something pulsed behind it, I swear it, not a twitch, not a vein, a pulse, something alive. I dropped the flashlight and stumbled back. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out, just a strangled breath. That's when I knew, whatever had been inside Eleanor, a piece of it had come into me. Maybe when I looked into that abyss at the back of her eye, maybe it saw me, reached into me, buried itself, or maybe it just needed someone else to carry it forward. I don't know, but I feel it now, behind the pain, behind the fear, something watching me from inside. It's not dormant anymore. It stirs when I close my eyes, it dreams, it whispers, and tonight the pain is unbearable. No medicine dulls it. The entire left side of my face feels swollen, heavy, like something is growing beneath the skin. My eye feels like it's being stretched from the inside, like pressure is building. I see the veins bulging in the mirror. I see the faint shimmer of black just beneath the surface, rippling when I move. It's almost ready. I can feel it. I've locked myself in the bathroom. I've stuffed a towel under the door to catch the blood. My hands are shaking. The light keeps flickering and I know I don't have much time. I'm writing this down now because someone has to know, someone has to understand what's coming. Eleanor wasn't the first. I won't be the last. Whatever it is, it spreads. It hides in the one place no one ever thinks to look, the place we trust the most, our own eyes. And now, as I type this, I feel it pushing outward. I can see my vision warping at the edges. The colours are bleeding together. My reflection doesn't move when I do. My own eye looks back at me, but it's not mine anymore. It's changing. Something is crawling forward, pressing against the inside of the lens. It wants out. I don't know if it'll stop with me.